right, team. Very welcome. I'm super excited for today's session because, first of all, it's houseful, and I can see so many comments coming in about Alteryx. And definitely, we have three guests from Alteryx joining us today. It's Melissa, the Director of Technology Solutions Marketing at Alteryx, my friend David Swinner, Senior Director Product Marketing, and Monica, Manager Product Marketing Team. We're also calling them mid data burst data science mid bursters. So I'm sure you guys are ready to hear some of the myths in the data science and analytics space. Also today we'll be discussing a lot around data and analytics. These analytics leaders are known as myth bursters because they are surely gonna share some of the real insights today. So feel free to go ahead and ask any questions that you have. I see a lot of folks already typing in Alteryx. Hey Dan, thanks for your patience. We're facing some technical issues, but I see everyone's there backstage. A quick announcement about the big giveaway that we're doing is an iWatch from Alteryx. So thanks to Alteryx for doing this. You'll also qualify if you've already registered for the event, and do not forget to comment in #Alteryx in the chat. So without any further ado, I know this was much awaited. Let's get our guest up here. Hey Dave. Hey Melissa. Hey Monica. Welcome to the Robert Show. How are you?
I am living the dream. Happy to be here. Happy to be here, Robert.
Very good. Very excited.
Melissa, all good with the tech?
Hi, good morning, Rabbit. Okay. I think so. Awesome. Yeah. A little bit of internet connectivity issue over here, but if you can hear me, I can hear you.
Perfect. We can hear you very well. Awesome. I obviously wanted to. I can't wait to get into a lot around the myths in data science, around analytics. But can we start with your introduction? Obviously, the audience would love to hear more about you, your journey in data science and analytics space, and also why do you love to burst data science myths? Maybe Melissa, you can go first.
Sure. Thank you. So about me, I have been in the software industry for about 15 years. And in that time, I've done a lot of different things, including originating rapid application development. That's back before Agile was a term. Professional services and product marketing for a number of early stage technology firms in the Bay Area. And prior to that, I worked in accelerator physics, research, as well as medical data analytics. And my journey to data science, it actually started when I was a teenager. I majored in physics in college, and I learned programming in grad school. And so as an experimental or empirical physicist, analyzing beamline data in MATLAB was life for me for a number of years. And so I leaned further into engineering. I wandered into the business and the market-facing side of the house. And as a result, my focus really went from performing the analysis to communicating its meaning and its importance. And to your point about myth busting, personally, I love busting data science myths because I love making technical concepts more accessible to lay people. And many data science myths, they, in my opinion, center around this idea that it's this dark art, it's apocryphal, it's this really hard to obtain skill. And so a lot of people are not even trying it out. They just self-qualify out of there. And that's a shame, related to this idea of communicating the technical. I want to see more people engaging with data science concepts and becoming comfortable with them and asking questions about the meaning of the technology and the impact of the models in our daily lives. Because let's be real, data science is everywhere, whether we are opening Google Maps or Uber to get somewhere or buying something online or even in person. Data science and machine learning models are running there in the background. So if you want to be a knowledgeable and empowered member of society, you need to understand the systems that surround you. So that's why I love to bust data science myths.
Okay, that's very cool. Thanks for that detailed information, Melissa. And definitely coming from physics, you've come a long way. So thanks for sharing that. Dave?
So I also started my undergrad was in physics, so it's ironic. But
Oh,
then I
wow.
went into semiconductor manufacturing, and it was a great place to learn data science because you had every data type imaginable: electrical data, measurement data, pictures, log data, text data, everything. So it was a great way to get started in data science. And I went from complaining about the data systems to trying to fix them. So I went into data warehousing. I ended up in an analytics center of excellence. And then I went to the dark side of marketing. And so that's where I am now. And I'm so happy to be at Alteryx. It's really it's a great company to work for, and it's a very approachable software. But why do I like myth busting? I think for many, math is scary, but I think participating in data and analytics is really easier than most people think. I think people just need a little nudge, a little activation energy to get going. So happy to be here, and I'm glad we got a great crowd on the adding lots of comments there. So looking forward to
Yeah.
this.
Awesome. Dave, Monica?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Monica Cisneros here. So I started my career in neuroscience. I was doing lab research, looking at the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that we have right here, and it activates the lungs and the GI system. And it was fantastic. Just starting your life with science has always been something that I had since I was a kid, super curious and just like wanted to learn more. And when it comes to the point of like, hey, you should do your PhD and whatnot, you know, tech called me and they're like, hey, let's do some data analytics. I speak Spanish, so they offered me a job working with clients in LATAM. And, that's kind of where my world opened to software, data science, data analytics. And one thing that has been a theme throughout my career, from neuroscience all the way to software, data science, is what is like perceived impossible, right? There are things, how we're talking about math is hard, software is hard, coding is hard. And in reality of things is like, if you have curiosity and you want to do the problem solving, there are a lot of tools out there that can help you do that. I had a client that he was doing cancer research in the camp in Colombia, and he was using tools to help him do that, right? So it can become accessible to everybody, and this idea of like being impossible can be demystified, right? So this is why we're doing the myth busting of how can we make it accessible and how we can make it like it's not that hard. There are ways of getting to it. So I'm very happy to be on this show and talk about this.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Thanks for that, Monica. And definitely, we'd be bursting a lot of myths today. And not only just in data science. I know, Dave has also written a very cool book that I also have it here, Artificial Intelligence, an executive guide to make AI work for your business. So I would definitely love to hear a little about that as well. But before that, I have a comment, like a few comments from our folks. Heather is here. She says, cheers to David Sooner and those of us from the semiconductor industry who lived, ate, and breathed big data before big data was a thing. So very cool. Also, we have Albert here. He says marketing background is a big winner. So can't wait to hear a lot around that. But Dave, since you've written this fantastic book about AI and I've read it, thanks for sending that over. And I definitely want to know. I have like a lot of questions when AI comes into the game, but can we start with some of the myths about that you have seen in AI?
Sure. We're going to try something here. So Monica and Melissa, are you ready? All right, let's do it. One, two, I'll be back.
I'll be back.
So that is the number one myth. People think it's the Terminator or Westworld or what have you, but most of the robots I've seen on TV, they're making pizzas. Maybe they're on wheels. They can't walk upstairs, and they're connected by a ton of cables. So Terminator's number one. The number two is AI is going to take over the world. And, you know, I use the example of self-driving cars. So if you look at GM, Ford, and Tesla, they spent over $100 billion. And we saw the first demo 20 years ago. Well, we still don't really have self-driving cars. So I don't think, I'm pretty sure it's not going to take over the world, at least immediately. The third myth is AI is going to take our jobs. And you don't have to think the computer's going to do it. Well, I look at back to history again, and you know, we started with the horse and buggy, and the car was going to ruin everything. Now cars are commonplace, and you know, not many people know how to ride a horse. The second one was the Industrial Revolution. Oh my gosh, water and steam. We have mechanization. You know, I think it's actually made the world better. We've had the computer revolution. We digitize things. You know, we can calculator. And I think the AI revolution, you know, per the comments earlier, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere, and I don't think it's going to take our jobs. It's going to make our lives better, and it really has the power to help humanity. I'll rattle off a couple more. It's for experts only. Not true. It's only for large enterprises. Not true. It's super hard. Not true. And I don't need it. I've heard that one. You're using it every day, whether you're shopping on Amazon, Netflix, or pick something. You know, I say get on the bus or go out of business. And so, you know, I really have a pragmatic definition of AI. It's data plus analytic insights plus automation. That's how I define AI. So those are just some of the myths I've heard of.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Also, wanted to learn, you know, I have a question here. Let's take the question first, and this could be, you know, this is kind of connected. So there's this question from Mavic and Basra. How do you see ChatGPT integrated with data and analytics space in the near future? Dave, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think it's ChatGPT is quite impressive, and I think it's really good at short form copy. And so for writing ads and short little things, I think it's great for that. I think for creating longer pieces, you know, it can only regurgitate what it's been trained to do. So it's not going to come up with original thought. And so I think there's still opportunity, but I think it will be integrated in quite a few things, you know. So that's just my take on it. I don't know, Melissa or Monica?
I can actually talk about this. There is conversations within Alteryx, like, hey, like, you know, the ChatGPT is happening, what can we do? And we're just like, you know, kind of like exploring the thought process of it, right? Like, do we like automate workflows? Do we do, you know, how can we integrate it within text analytics? Can we integrate it here? Can we integrate it there? So absolutely. I mean, it's something that is happening today, and it's like not only Alteryx, right? Like, you know, Microsoft is talking about it. Google is talking about it. It is such an amazing new piece of something that had already existed, but now we're looking at it in a new light. And then it's getting a lot of traction because every day people are talking about it, right? Like the first time I heard about ChatGPT, it was on TikTok from like a random influencer. So, you know, the fact that, you know, AI is infiltrating our lives to like the level that is this, you know, automated chat generator, like that's just incredible. So yes, absolutely. I think it is definitely going to be integrated with data and analytics.
Okay, that's very cool. Melissa, any thoughts on that?
Just to build on Monica's point, I really think that this opens up a new dimension of conversational interfaces. You know, it's still a little bit unnatural to interact with machines. And so the ability for, you know, ChatGPT gives the machine the ability to do more storytelling, tell more rich language responses to prompts. I think that we can see this integrated not just in the data and analytics space, but more broadly to make the machines a little bit more seamless to interact with.
Awesome. Very cool. Thanks for those insights. Also, we have a comment here from YouTube that says integrate ChatGPT into Alteryx community. What do you think about that? Do you think that will ever happen, or is it already in the process?
I don't have an answer.
We'll have to talk to the community team about that. We don't want to scoop them. If it is, stay tuned.
It's a great idea, though. You know, talking to you know, in plain language, I think is extremely helpful. I think some of the research I've seen on it is that people don't know sort of how to phrase their questions. And I actually found this out with trying out with DALL-E 2, you know, the generative AI for images and things like that, I found it didn't have the language, the vocabulary to describe what type of picture that I wanted it to create. You know, create something in the style of Rembrandt or whatever. I didn't have the vocabulary to be able to tell it even what I wanted. So I think it's still a little bit unnatural, and people have to really figure out how to phrase their questions. But I think that will evolve as we move forward.
Yeah, I think it's more on the side how, I recently saw one video where it's around the first, like every time you ask a question to ChatGPT, it might answer it in a bit different way. And that could be because you've asked that question multiple times, or maybe, there are people asking the same question and that's how it's learning from itself. That could be a model which will, obviously take time. So can't wait for that. And I know for a fact where it's too early for anyone to say that, oh, we might integrate it very soon. Though we know Microsoft is doing that very quickly. So let's see how that goes. But nice question. We also have one question here from Zizka. Myth, there's no creativity in data science. Would love to learn about the creativity side of data science beyond just visualizations. Any thoughts there, Melissa?
Oh, I love that. Great question, Jessica. So being creative in data science means really understanding the overall goal of the analysis that you're looking to prosecute or the model you're looking to make. I think that data scientists can be diminished into, well, you're just a stats person, you're just a tech head, you're just the person writing the Python code for me, and you're training a model. And a true data scientist knows it's not that simple. You really have to understand the phenomenon that you're looking to model and understand the variables that you're capturing, the observations, what their meaning is, what their relationship is to one another. Feature engineering is a nightmare. Just picking out and generating the right variables to train the model on is an art. So choosing the right test, the right algorithm to build your machine learning model off of, and just the right method to solve the problem at hand is very much so a creative art. And going back to Monica's point that, hey, ChatGPT's been out there, we're just seeing it in a new light. I think you can generalize that as a creative exercise in data science. It's about problem framing. Are you even asking the right question to achieve that goal? So I think that there's a lot of opportunity beyond beauty. Visualizations are delightful. Human interaction with results is really important, but just setting up the problem framing, the architecture of the analytic method that you're about to prosecute is so demanding and so requires expertise and creativity. It's one of the reasons I really admire data scientists.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for that question. And great insights, Melissa. I have another very interesting question about a myth from Nick. But before that, obviously, Kate is here, and she mentions about the cool T-shirt that David is wearing. David, we all love your T-shirt.
Oh,
very
thank
cool.
you. Thanks.
Awesome. So, a question from Nick here. Would love to hear your views on single version of the truth when it comes to data science and insights. Should we be focusing on data lakes or data warehouses, or will decentralized data meshes change the world? Is true centralization of data a myth? What do you think there? Very interesting.
Oh boy, Nick Jewell, PhD, with the hard questions. Well, thank you for that question, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
And so I think that we see an evolution in how people are training models. So we had big data, what's that, 10 years ago, people still refer to it. So we had to put everything in one spot to be able to train models. Now we have small data. And so I think there's an evolution. I think it's really infeasible to take the world's data, squish it together, put it in a big square to train your model. So I know there's people working on federated learning and things like that. I think the important thing for data scientists and analysts and citizen data scientists that are creating models is that they need to select representative samples of data, and to sort of try to mitigate bias and things like that. So make sure you have the right set of data that represents the world you're trying to model. So there's lots of articles on bias and things like that, but I think it's impossible to bigger data is not always better, I guess, is how my take on it. But Nick, feel free to argue with me. That's fine. Love it. Monica or Melissa, do you have any thoughts on that?
I have maybe two thoughts to contribute. Single source of truth is an old kind of comforting phrase, and I think that its meaning has evolved, especially in recent years. And now when I hear that phrase, I think less about one centralized repository that has all the data points we trust, and more about the organization coming to an agreement about the definition of metrics, about what that data means, how we measured it, and what we're going to do with it, right? Like there are classic examples out there about, hey, how did we define Europe? Does Europe include the Middle East? Did we include Turkey? If that region's a part of our metrics, how do we agree upon how much revenue we made in that region? And so coming to an agreement about what our measures mean and how we're going to collect that data, to me, is what single source of truth means. And the second point I wanted to make is, your point, Nick, about is the data mesh the future? I see it as we're moving to more and more federated models of data ownership. And to me, that is going to scale better for growing organizations and offer the flexibility that different domains need to be able to prosecute data informed decision making and getting insight. So I thoroughly look forward to seeing more federation and things like data mesh being leveraged in the enterprise. And I don't think that the two are necessarily at odds, having a single source of truth and yet also federated data.
Yeah, no, I think those are good points. Thanks, Melissa, Dave. Also, quick question that I have for you, Melissa and Monica. What do you think? How can AI be used in the improvement of decision making and predict future trends in a business? How do you look at that side?
Yeah, I can get started here. I think that one myth I want to get across is like that AI ML is only for big companies, right? Only Netflix, only Amazon can use it, right? And I really I have been seeing it in my own clients in, small SMB. I'm looking at it like specific people like consultants, data for good projects. I have seen people that they don't have a big budget, they don't have a big team. And ultimately, what really helps is that the tools that they are getting, whether they are, from code, from open source, or, they decide to invest in like one single license of, what it is, data visualization, or they decide to do an AutoML tool, they get a lot of value out of like a single license or from that free code. And I have seen my clients do very, very exciting things, right? It's like, hey, I have this like mom and pop shop and I starting my 2 franchises. How can I work with the warehousing, and how can I optimize that warehouse, right? So like that is where the efficiencies start, right? Yeah, you can get Amazon with their like very complex network of delivery. You can get all the way to that, right? Like the scale, that is something that has already been proven. But now we're to the point where the technology has been advancing enough where like people without the expertise of like a data scientist team can get access to that. And one thing that I really love is actually seeing it done in very creative ways. There are a few people on TikTok that I love to follow. For example, there's a TikToker that does data for fashion trends, and she basically has her own code and like looks at what has been done in the runway, and then looks like, oh, 30% button down shirts and ballet flats are in fashion now. So then all of that she is either buying or influencing other people based on data analytics. And that one's awesome. There's another one that looks at bachelor data and is looking at, how, the contestants are doing within the bachelor and using data analytics to do that, right? So we can use data analytics in very, very creative ways, and we can use it without being this like, huge enterprise with like 10 data scientists. We're at that moment where we're finally able to use it, all of us.
Very cool. I think those are great insights. Definitely, TikTok is something which many of the data and analytic folks are leveraging, and this is one of the good examples that you've shared. Melissa, what do you think?
Oh, I completely agree. And really, if you think about, the promise of AI, it's faster, more accurate, and more consistent decision making. Really, if we're thinking about what AI can do for business, like for example, predictive modeling is really well known form of machine learning that we are seeing adopted in enterprise today. And predictive models, they just work better than human estimates, human guesswork, or even deterministic algorithms to accurately
Mm,
estimate what could happen next. And to the point of the fact that this is really a discussion about myths, I want to revisit, David, I think you mentioned this. You mentioned a lot of myths very quickly, but one that I think is really relevant in response to Rabbit's question here is that AI will take our jobs, right? Like
mm,
this, I think this is an important myth because it's actually, in my opinion, a half truth. So AI may very well displace some jobs in some sectors. We are seeing that in healthcare, in customer service, in logistics, right? No one can deny that a self driving car, to David's point, when they show up, will make a human driver that much less necessary. But most experts believe that AI and robotics, they're going to create more jobs than they remove from the marketplace. They may create new markets. AI is evolving, it's gathering new responsibilities, getting an increasing role, but really, I believe it's going to be complementing and augmenting most jobs, not replacing them. I've seen studies of thousands of companies where researchers find that the most significant performance improvements from the introduction of AI is when humans and machines work together, right? Because in this context of AI, as humans, which is we're pretty invested in being humans, there are three big
mm,
things we do. We train the machines, we teach the AI what to do. To David's point previously, they don't come with a lot of context, they're not generalist systems. We explain the outcomes, the results, especially when those results can be counterintuitive. And humans sustain the responsible use of the machines. They decide which problems are appropriate to apply AI. So, in this way, I think AI needs us just as much as we're going to need it.
yeah, no, I think definitely those are great points. Dave, anything to round up?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And one thing I found, I think it is going to make our lives, you know, better, and it's can help humanity. But a lot of people I talk to, I think this is interesting. Um, a lot of people use Alteryx software for. We have a computer vision capability, so getting things out of PDFs or
Mm,
shipping invoices and things like that. I'm like, hey, you're doing AI. I am.
mm,
So they don't even know they're doing AI. But I tell you what, no one wants to copy stuff from systems A to B to C. Doing that monotonous, mundane, boring work all day long. Whether they're in
mm,
spreadsheets or whatever. I think AI, we can automate that piece. We have lots of clients that automate sort of that mundane task, so they can
mm.
focus on sort of higher value activities.
Yeah, no, I think for sure. That's very interesting, Dave. And I know for a fact where I talk to a lot of people as well, and sometimes it's like, oh, do we don't use AI in our day to day, but you do. You pick up your phone, you're using AI in many more ways than you can even imagine. So I can't agree more on that. Okay, quick question. Just shifting gears a little here in terms of democratizing analytics seems to be on every data leader's agenda today, and we've been hearing a lot about it. So what does it mean to democratize analytics, and what myths do you see floating around this idea? Melissa, any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I have lots of opinions about this. So starting simple. To democratize something, it means to make it available to more people, to the masses. In the case of
Mm,
democratizing analytics, especially in business, that means enabling a larger contingent of the workforce to
yep.
access and prosecute analytics, either fully independently or semi-independently. And I believe this is an excellent strategy for analytics leaders to explore because it lets more of the decisions in the business become truly data driven. It can also ensure that if you do have highly skilled analytics professionals on board, folks like data scientists, they're going to be dedicating their talent and focusing their resources on solving the business's biggest challenges, right? The most difficult questions rather than just addressing recurring business as usual questions, right? They're coming from other business units and business teams. So I feel strongly that democratization is a great strategy, but there are, I would say, Ravit, probably three major myths floating around in the
Yep.
space regarding democratizing analytics. The first, oh, that's easy. It just requires giving everybody a dashboard. Second, democratizing analytics ruins governance. And third, democratizing analytics doesn't have an impact on the business. It's just sort of a feel good activity. So those are the three myths. And if it's okay with you, I would be happy to bust or burst each one of those. So,
Oh, for sure.
awesome. So the first one about dashboards. It's easy, give everybody a dashboard. Dashboards are great, but dashboards do not equal democratization. So the problem here is data is not helpful unless it has been collected and analyzed to answer a particular question. And consumers of things like visualizations, that's they're great, but if they don't understand the data's meaning, or they don't understand how it was transformed via analytics, or they don't understand the phenomenon that the data is measuring, well, they're going to be drawing incorrect conclusions then. And so that's why establishing appropriate levels of data literacy in the business is so important. You can't just huck new tools at people. You have to ensure that they're actually properly trained to leverage them and interpret the results that are coming from them. So that's myth number one, in my opinion. The second one had to do with governance. And we definitely do hear this anxiety, particularly from IT leaders, that, hey, if I democratize analytics, we're going to have chaos. I can't govern. And I think the reality is that democratization and governance, they're allies, they're not adversaries, right? Some people think giving more people access to data, more people access to analytics, that will invite an analytics chaos. And sure, some of the organization's data is sensitive. The data, may have data security protocols around it, has to be accessed and stored in very specific ways. But a key part of democratizing analytics properly is to ensure that the analytics processes that get developed, they're compliant, right, with those requirements. So information technology, the IT folks, they should be involved, but you can't expect them to do everything for you when it comes to data. Really, your business users should be empowered to help. So, depending upon the size of your organization, there's a variety of governance models you can use. One of my favorites is this decentralized model that engages the owners of the analytics processes and the data. This is especially nice if you're looking for at a decentralized data framework as well. And this approach to democratization is really sustainable because analytics can go through localized validation processes that meet the big company-wide requirements. So democratization governance, not at odds, absolutely doable. And the third myth was about, oh, no business value, right? I believe strongly democratization makes a measurable difference in business. The idea of it, giving data to the people, right? That sounds really feel good and really fuzzy. And inclusion is a noble goal unto itself, but leaders should recognize that putting analytics into the hands of your business teams, the folks who are on the front lines of your organization, that's going to enable them to prosecute their jobs shockingly more effectively. It tightens feedback cycles in the business because it's removing latency of waiting for support or waiting for outside insight. So it's going to make your organization more agile in the face of, a changing market or being able to anticipate upcoming trends in the marketplace. In fact, according to the International Institute for Analytics, the ability to do analytics across multiple business units in your business increases something that's called your organization's analytics maturity. Analytics maturity correlates to like 60 different important KPIs, things like 3-year revenue, 10-year operating income. And businesses that do this, that leverage analytics broadly, can outperform their competitors by like a 4x margin in revenue. There's very compelling evidence for the value, business value, bottom line of democratization. So don't believe the myths about democratizing analytics. It's an impactful business endeavor. It's not going to invite analytics chaos if you do it properly. And doing it properly includes not just purchasing tools, but also upskilling your people.
Yeah.
I told you I had
No,
a
I think
lot of opinions.
I think I'm pretty sure, all these myths are very important to be, put out there to the audience. And, you've done it very well. So thanks, Melissa, for getting that out in detail. We have a lot of questions, like there's a lot of questions coming in. So let's take a few questions here from the audience. And we can start with one question here from Dustin. So Dustin is asking, what's an example of how you've seen ML applied within small organizations? Any thoughts there? I know, Monica, you kind of work around a lot into the space. Would you like to share something?
One example that David brought up was PDF reading. So looking at the PDFs, bringing them up, digitizing them, and then analyzing that. That is one really huge use case that I have seen. I have seen other ones, like, for example, revenue forecasting. That is something that every business does, right? And we're using time series forecasting in order to do that, looking at, specific time segments and looking, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Other ones that I have seen is, for example, classification, where we are looking at customers and we are segmenting them in different groups, right? Is this like a high value customer because they spend money, so much in, every single day of the year? Or is it because they have a big lump sum of money that they do only in December? Right. So like we're able to like segment our customers that way. And one thing where I have seen small organizations go even further is once they do the classification, they basically create discounts for those specific people, right? You run like marketing campaigns, you run discounts, and based on the person that you are in that classification, you're going to get a different email or a different discount coming up. So we can incentivize those people to spend more money more frequently, or that same amount of money more times during the year, right? So those are, very specific examples of like where I have seen it with our customers in small organizations.
Yeah, no, I think definitely those are great insights about how machine learning is applied within the small organizations. Thanks for that question, Dustin. We have another question here from Jessica, and very interesting. I really enjoy anomaly detection. So many novel approaches, and more often than not, anomalies are tied to specific moments or periods of great interest, fraudulent transaction, medical diagnosis, etc. Could you please speak to Alteryx anomaly detection capabilities? I know, tough one, but definitely a great question there.
Does anybody want to talk about this? If not, I can take it.
Yeah, please, Monica, go ahead.
Lead us off, Monica. Go ahead.
Anomaly detection is one of the biggest use cases that we have, especially that one is actually more in larger organizations, right? Because you're trying to like catch it as fast as possible in order for things to not basically like de-escalate things or like try to prevent things, right? So we have different ways of doing that at Alteryx, right? So like Alteryx Designer, we do have tools that allows us to create our own rules of triggers, right? So like if something has it passes a certain threshold, we're able to flag it and be able to push it. We also do that with server, automating it and making sure that we're sending communications out. We do have new products in our cloud space with automated machine learning, and we're able to look at that historical data and flag the transactions that are out of the ordinary. One way of doing that is with classification methods, right? As I was talking about, where we can classify customers, we can also classify other types of data, like for example transaction, right? So like something goes off that threshold, we're able to identify it and we're able to put rules on it. So there are a lot of ways that we can do that with Alteryx, but those are two specific ways on how we do it with two different products, but they can also work together. So that is where the magic of the interconnectivity and like bringing everything together to basically automate things. And that's what we're really good at.
Yeah, and maybe Monica, if I could just add, there's another perspective on that. So Monica was really describing, tools if you want to create sort of an anomaly detector, or and so we certainly have a number of tools that do that. But we also have a product in our Alteryx Analytics Cloud called Auto Insights. And what that product does, this is like, I'm not creating the algorithm. You load in data, and it tells you these are the anomalies. You don't have to do anything. You said these are the 5 KPIs, 10, however many KPIs you want to track. You simply load in the data, and out comes, these are unexpected changes. These are anomalies. These are why things are going, root cause analysis, why things are going up and down. So this is really targeted towards the, I'll say, consumer of analytics output. So just in dashboards and in plain language, it tells you why things are going up and down, and you don't have to know how to do anything. The tool does it for you.
Okay. Yeah, those are pretty cool insights around the anomalies detection. So thanks, Monica. Thanks, Dave, for adding that thought there. Also, Dave, I have one question around which I'm sure you guys also go through that question a lot, which is around how can data science and analytics be made more accessible to non-technical users? Because it's one of the biggest challenges in if I don't talk about the data space, but other industries, it can be a challenge. So what do you think about that?
I think building on Melissa's comments earlier about democratization of analytics, that's really what Alteryx is all about. I think we have, I don't know the latest number, between 300,000 and 500,000 active members of our communities. That speaks to the ease of use and the intuitiveness of our software. But I would say, to how do we make it available? We're already here, so you don't have to wait. The computer does the math for you, and a lot of our software, there's a big red easy button, so it does that for you. I think the challenge that some things that and Melissa touched on this earlier, some things that you'd have to think is, how do you formulate your problem, the question you're asking data? How do you structure your data so you can ask that and answer that business question? So once you can do that, then you can push the big red easy button. So our software is low code, no code. If you want to write code, great, write code, but you don't have to. You just drag and drop the tools out there, push the easy button, and it's going to recommend the best method for the task at hand. But I think the key is understanding what the business question you're having, making sure you have the right quality of data, make sure your data is not biased, and then you push the easy button and it's going to give you an answer.
Okay. I think definitely you've put it very well there, Dave, and a lot depends on the community as well. So that's there. Thanks for that. One follow-up question, actually, just something which was related to democratizing that I asked to Melissa was, what are like the best practices for collaboration between the data scientists and the subject matter experts in democratizing data science and analytics? What do you think there?
Well, I think that, oh yeah, oh, please go ahead, Monica.
Oh, sorry. So Melissa and David have touched upon very specific topics, right? It's like we're talking about tooling. So like no code really helps out, and democratizing, we're able to, have access to people and the data. One thing that is very, very important, and I have seen this in like medium to like larger size organizations, that is very important, is finding innovators. These are people who want to do more with what they have today. These are people who are looking to, expand their horizons in terms of like what data means to them. And these innovators also tend to be leaders within their own groups. They don't necessarily have to have a leadership title, but they are themselves leaders and they bring people together. So,
Right.
These innovators bring in the team together, and, like how they do it is that they have an inventory of challenges. So like, take a look at what you have done so far historically. What are we having trouble with today? What are our biggest challenges? What takes the most time today? Prioritize them, and then bring in the use cases, right? So you have your problem and then you have your solution. With your solution, rank those problems and see like, hey, what is going to be easiest to get, but also what is the most important, right? what is taking us the most time and the most resources, but then also we can achieve faster. And one thing where when people are starting to think about data science, I think that they have to start really big. They have to have this like whole entire strategy, and they have to, have everything solved. But in reality, what I have seen where we get the most out of tools, the most out of this transformation is when you start small, right? Like when you prioritize those use cases, start with like one or two. I would recommend up to 5 to start if you're doing it by yourself. If you have somebody else coming in, yeah, you can expand it to like 10, 15. But if you're doing it by yourself, like start small, it's okay. And then have a proof of concept to build the value and the trust, right? So like test things, test the hypotheses, fail fast. I think that that is one key message that I have heard from clients over and over again, that that's where they go into success. And when you're doing this proof of concept, I think one that turns into actual change is when you get leadership involved, right? So you're having these use cases, you talk to leadership, you have the proposal, you're doing the testing, and then once you're done, once you are going to present the results, the value to leadership, right? That's how you get expanded. That's how you create a business case. And that's how you're able to go from like 1, 2 use cases to like 20, right? Here at Alteryx, we do have this like program where we help people create this process and do it a lot bigger, right? So like we do all the way to like 15 use cases with you, and we help you create that presentation to leadership. So yeah, we're here to help you, but then you can also do it by yourself if you are narrowing out that scope.
Very cool. Melissa?
Awesome. That is such a great example of basically leading change through the process of introducing data science and a new type of innovation to the organization. My thought as far as the best practices for collaboration, well, there's actually what do the individuals do on the ground, right? The data scientist, the subject matter expert, how do they work together literally, which I'll touch on in a moment. But before I do, because I want to build on Monica's point that you need to prove to the org that this will work and get everyone on board. If you're a data leader and you're thinking about, okay, I've got to get these types of folks to work together, there are bigger challenges than those humans and their working styles. Organizationally, you do need to get buy-in from the top down. You do need to get your senior leadership on board, and you need to get them to basically walk the walk, demonstrate that there is value in leveraging data science, advanced analytics in their major business decisions. So there's this top-down approach, as much as there's the bottom-up, which again, I'll double click on in a moment, of enabling more subject matter experts to engage well and properly with data science and the data scientists. The data scientists themselves, your analytics team, you have to make sure you're enabling them, giving them the right data stack, the best tools, and ensuring that the processes that they're following are auditable, transparent, but they're also not being choked to death by access controls that are inhibiting their creativity. And then finally, as a partner, right? So we're sort of going into the team and now out across the org. You're going to want to make sure that you have functional relationships with those other business units and come to agreements about how analytics should be used. So governance isn't purely just IT tops down. Governance is an agreement about a set of behaviors that all business units will engage in around. So we're going to be coming out, Alteryx plug, we're going to be coming out with some guidance along this, specific playbooks that analytics leaders can look to really ensure that data science spreads throughout the org. As Monica said, this is really how you send up the first flare and demonstrate success and lead change. We have ways to scale that change, not just technically, but organizationally. Finally, I'll answer your question, Rabbit. Thank you for your patience. So the actual humans on the ground, enabling collaboration between your data scientist and your subject matter experts. It's all about establishing a common language between them. So these can be very different types of professionals, right? Data scientists are very comfortable with coding languages and statistical constructs, and not all subject matter experts are necessarily going to be able to match that. So you're going to want to look for ways in which data science processes can be easily documented in terms that subject matter experts can readily understand. And on the converse side, subject matter experts need utilities to help them describe Hi again. All right, so I'll just pick on back up because that was fascinating. I think I was going on about, so I had said data scientists need to be able to have their work documented in a way that's comprehensible. And on the flip side, subject matter experts who don't use code necessarily, they need a way to describe their business requirements in terms that will also be meaningful for the data scientist. And so if you think
Mm,
about this situation, a great solution are no and low code platforms, right? They do a wonderful job of building this exact sort of bridge between these two kinds of visual programming interface, that they can work in, and that lets them leverage whatever data literacy they do have to describe the phenomenon and the business that they need modeled. And the data scientists basically turn to the back end of the platform and draw out the hard feature engineering requirements, the appropriate model types they should be using, and any relevant variables to effectively apply machine learning to that business process that's being described. So, organizationally, there's a lot you can do. And tactically, for these individuals, look for low and no code tools that allow them to share a common language as they go through the process.
okay, that was good. Even with the technical difficulty, we got at least more of you, Melissa, more of those insights. So thanks for that. Dave, any thoughts there?
Yeah, a couple, I think just to, reiterate some of the points earlier was that, think big, start small, act
Mm,
fast. It is approachable. You can do it. Just get started. Don't opine and think about this for a month or 3 months. Just get started today. The software
yep.
is there, and fail fast. The other thing on collaboration is reminds me of a story. I used to teach agile software development when it, sort of first came out, and it was like a 3-day class. And I think I could have taught the class, and got a big book associated with it. I could have taught this class with one slide: talk. So make sure you pick up the phone, get in the same room, and talk to your colleagues. We are human, and I think people forget that. We try to do too many things through ticket systems like Jira and Asana and what have you,
Right.
and we don't pick up the phone. It's only via chat. There's so much more if you just please talk. I can't encourage that enough.
Yeah. No, I think definitely it's more around the side where, it's about talking and getting through. And you mentioned that very well, Dave. So thanks for that. Also, quickly before we get on to something, obviously I'm looking out for some good news, some spice that you can give us about what's coming up next at Alteryx. But before that, I want to take one question around this from Dustin here. Does Alteryx help accelerate the creation of documentation around data processes and workflows? Any thoughts? Melissa,
Yeah.
who do you want to
Yeah.
go?
Yeah, I feel
Dave?
like we're all very politely trying not to step on each other's toes. So, Dustin, you've asked a yes or no question. My answer is absolutely yes. There are a number of different ways across the Alteryx platform to do this. This dovetails to my point that data scientists' work needs to be easily documented so that it's consumable by mere mortals. Taking as an example Alteryx Designer or Alteryx Designer Cloud, it is a visual programming interface. And so as you're working within it,
Mm,
you're executing these automated data transformations. We have these pre-built building blocks that allow you to do different types of manipulation and actually watch the data transform through an interactive results grid as you go through each step of your analytics workflow process. When you're done, obviously you have an entire working data pipeline that can take data from one state and deliver it back to you, to a dashboard, to some other third-party system, to a database, et cetera, back to the cloud in its final transformed state. Now, what's a nightmare about doing this in other tools, even, in coding tools, good luck for people who don't code in that language to understand what's happening. In spreadsheets, don't get me started. The world of nested formulas is a nightmare. And then to even understand why those choices were made, no way. But in a visual interface like Alteryx Designer, for example, you can see, we have children and tweens getting comfortable with these concepts. Our Alteryx Spark Ed program actually ensures that college students can leverage this software to learn statistics and data analytics. You can see graphically the exact transformation steps at a very high level. What is the general plot line for the data. What steps is it going through? If you want to drill into any one of those steps and understand exactly how that filter worked or exactly what that group by statement was about, you can open those up and drill into the level of detail needed. If you want to understand why a transformation took place, well, good news. We have commenting capabilities. So you can get little text bubbles all over the place saying, do this for this reason. And so documentation, which is a nightmare, and I know there's a lot of utilities out there to try to help data scientists better document their code and autodocs, et cetera. Programs like Alteryx Designer, that's just baked in. That's not even an extra step. It just comes with it. And the beautiful part is that it really doesn't require a steep learning curve to start speaking that visual language. So
Yeah.
that's my long yes for Dustin. David, Monica, do you want to build on that in any way?
No, I like that because you're right on the comments. If people haven't seen our software, it's people are putting colored boxes on there. So this module is doing this and this thing's doing this, and so you can organize it to whatever makes sense for you and your business, and they do that as they build these workflows.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. So I thanks for those insights and thanks for that question, Dustin. Before we get on to the last question, one big question that I have is, what's next for Alteryx? What's exciting that's coming up? And also, you guys can give us some good news at least. It's start of the year, so at least we'll expect that. Monica?
Yes, I have my very shameless plug. On February 16, 2023, we're going to have our Alter Next. And I also have a cool shirt for Alteryx Analytics Cloud. So, go check it out. Honestly, our cloud products are really, really cool. Dear to my heart is machine learning. It's an auto ML tool. You already heard about David about auto insights. Amazing for insight generation. You just put in your data and then you're going to get root cause analysis, missions, time series data. And then we're also going to have our designer cloud, the designer that you love and you use every day, but now it's going to be accessible via the browser with all of the tools that you need that are used very commonly, and drag and drop it, and everything is in the same place. So yes, we're very excited, and then we're gonna have a lot more things coming up in Alteryx Analytics Cloud because we release features weekly. So yeah, go and check it out. It's amazing. February 16th, it is the big day. So yeah, come and join us at Alter Next.
Awesome. And I've already shared the link with the folks here so they can go and check it out. I've already registered for it and can't wait to attend. It's on the Feb 16th. So looking forward to that. Thanks for that, Monica. So Melissa?
Oh, yeah, to build on more exciting things to come, I'm going to do a completely shameless plug for David and myself. We have a new book coming out in just a few short weeks to complement. You've also got the one that we've already. All right, so we have a classic that's been out. Go ahead, David.
It's just a tease.
I love you. So we have a couple, I guess now, O'Reilly books we've written together. David is the world's greatest writing partner, Rabbit. So if you're ever looking for help, I mean, he's a prolific author anyway. So Automating Analytics is out, available from O'Reilly. You can also score a copy through Alteryx. It's all about the idea of analytics automation in business. A lot of great strategies there, and coming out in just a few short weeks. That's a spoonerism. Thanks, folks. A few short weeks is going to be our next novella about analytics. It's going to be about democratizing analytics, organizational strategies that leaders can pursue to ensure the power of data is being put into more hands of more people. So stay tuned for that. And I did comment on this idea really briefly, if you caught it, of analytics maturity. If you are intrigued to learn more about that, we have a free, super quick and easy analytics maturity assessment you can take on Alteryx.com. Yeah, in our resources. It is a great way to get the conversation started within your organization about your current analytics posture and how you want to develop the rest of your 2023 roadmap with data.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'll also share the link for the analytics maturity assessment with the folks. But this was great. I know we're almost time, and I've heard so much good insights today. It's And I can go on for another hour, but I'm sure we all have to. We'll do a 2-pointer session, and we'll have more fun when there's more to discuss. But if first of all, thanks for all the details that Melissa, David, Monica, you all have shared. I think I've loved each and every details, and I know for a fact where we couldn't cover all the questions from the audience, but I'm sure you guys can go back and check those and respond to our viewers out there. But before we move to our next task, obviously I know people would want to reach out to you. So what's the best way they can find you, reach out, and learn more about analytics, Alteryx, about the new book that you guys are coming up with, the new conference that's coming up? What's the best place, Monica?
So I'm everywhere. I do have a link tree with like absolutely everything, but in LinkedIn you can find me as Monica Cisneros, and Twitter Monica S Cisneros, and Instagram Monica S Cisneros as well. So yeah, I'm in all socials. So yeah, come and reach out. Very happy to chat with everybody.
And are you also starting up with TikTok very soon? And
you know what?
doing
My
something
TikTok
there.
is like literally videos of my dogs. So if you want to see a beautiful basset hound, go and check out my TikTok too.
Okay, very cool.
Darling, I love it. Similarly, Monica has taught me about many things, and she also recently showed me Linktree. So you can now also find me on Linktree at Melissa Burrows, which is an incredible social link aggregator. If you're not a fan of new things, you can find me on LinkedIn at Melissa Burrows, or on Twitter, I am at Mel Buzz. Feel free to tweet at me or find me on LinkedIn or explore Linktree and stalk me everywhere.
I share the links with all the folks there, so you can go check out. Just reach out to Monica, Melissa. Dave, what about you?
So also on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you can actually physically drive your car to Vermont, stop over, say hi. We'll have a beer. It's snowy right now and cold, but just find me. I'm here, waiting.
Awesome. So we know Dave is the coolest out there. He's always up for a beer. He's always up for meeting and chatting and discussing more about data and analytics. And so is Melissa and Monica. So you guys can definitely reach out to them, learn more about data and analytics. But this was super insightful. Thanks again, David, Melissa, Monica, for doing this. And for our audience, obviously, we haven't forgotten about the giveaway. Like I mentioned, we'll be announcing the giveaway towards the next early next week. In the newsletter we'll be announcing, and obviously those who have gone out and registered for the event, asked questions, attended, and also reposted about it, will be definitely choosing the winner and doing that raffle. And look at the cool gang here seeing us off. Very cool.
I'll be back.
That's so cool. Thanks everyone for joining in, and thank you to our guest for joining us.